Our project is an excellent example of a real success story of EU-Jordanian research cooperation, and we hope that we will see a lot more to come in the future. It is focusing on one very important issue, not only for Jordan, for the Jordanian research, but for the EU as well, and globally, as we have seen. The conservation of plant, one plant, with social economic impact and importance. I will not go too much elaborating on the project itself, because just after my presentation we will have a session on that. But I would just like to congratulate the project for two very important outcomes, among others, one of which has been mentioned. This is the elaboration of the draft for well-planned socio-economic land conservation strategy for Jordan, and of course the establishment of hopefully sustainable and long-lasting partnership with the project's European partners from the UK, France, Luxembourg. For us it's very important. We think that this project might further step for the Jordanian integration in the European research area. Well, I would also like to thank personally Her Royal Highness for her dedication and support to the project throughout its lifetime, and to Dr. Saifan and her team for the excellent, very professional work. It has been a pleasure. We hope to see the role of Botanic Garden and many other projects to come under our future program Horizon 2020. Once a cradle of agricultural origin, as mentioned by Dr. Dullo, currently, unfortunately, the Middle East has managed to preserve only 4% of its initial species. This speaks about the urgencies of the issues that have been discussed, and about the very important steps taken by the Royal Botanic Garden to work in a comprehensive way towards addressing this important challenge, not only for Jordan, but for the whole region, but of course for Europe and globally. One of the most, I didn't see it in the previous presentation, but normally a big impediment to the development of research in these areas is also the lack of sufficient financial resources and funding. That's how we come into the picture. The EU has designed a special program with which traditionally it supports the research and innovation activity within the Union. It has existed for years in different forms and with different names. I would say from the beginning, the establishment and the creation of the European Union. Our new such program, they are normally called framework programs for research and technological development. Our new program is called Horizon 2020. This time we have added innovation. You will see why. We think that it's very important that the innovative ideas are translated into innovative solutions with a direct impact for society and economy. As our ambassador has mentioned, it's the most open research program in the world. It's open to the world, to Jordan, included in this regard. The Jordanian participants in the program are actually eligible for automatic funding. It means that when they participate, they don't need to pay anything. They benefit up to 100% of contribution from the EU. This is important because the program differentiates between the different countries. Well, just a small reminder about the European Union. It occupies a small territory worldwide, and its population amounts only to 7%, but it's actually the biggest research innovation investor in the world, with 24% of the world's expenditure on research and 32% of high-impact applications. 32% of patent applications as well. It makes it, of course, a very attractive partner for research in every area. The program itself, as mentioned previously, has a very big budget, 80 billion euros that should be spent. In the period 2014-2020, it was launched in January this year. And actually, it represents an increase of 46% compared to the previous framework program. It shows once again that it occupies really a core place in Europe's own strategy for development. You have probably heard about Europe 2020, which is the European strategy for smart, sustainable, and inclusive development for the years to come. It is already recognized that only through intensive investment in research and innovation, Europe can overcome the economic crisis. And of course, this has a direct implication on the creation of more and better jobs and growth. And of course, this is already universally recognized worldwide that research and innovation are key for economic development. And this, of course, includes also Jordan. The program addresses people's concerns about their livelihood, safety, and environment. Some of the challenges we face in this regard are similar in Jordan and in the EU. One of these, of course, is the depletion of natural resources and the need for more proactive environmental policy and policy diverted towards biodiversity conservation. The program has also three very important elements. It is coupling research with innovation. So it is funding, it offers funding for a project from the laboratory to its market exploitation. We don't stop at just certain discovery or research results. We would really like to see this research applied in practice for the benefit of the company and society. The program focuses on several very important societal challenges. We think that the list is exhaustive. You will see them all in a second, like health, environment, clean energy, and so on. Most of them have a global character and, of course, require very active cooperation with our international partners, including Jordan, for finding long-lasting sustainable solutions. The program is open to participation of companies, different companies, large, particularly SME participation is encouraged for different SME associations, university, research institutes, which are the typical partners in these programs, and also international organizations. I would like to use the occasion to convey this message to ICARDA that traditionally participate actively in our programs, and we would like to see them even more present. But why not Biodiversity International as well? It's an important knowledge that needs to be exchanged with the European partners. There are three key pillars in the program: excellent science, industrial leadership, and societal challenges. As you see, there are no fixed borders between them, but it's important to remember them like that in order to find yourself when you're looking for a certain call for proposal, because it's a huge problem. There are really hundreds of calls, and even for us it's very difficult sometimes to identify the right target. And the first pillar, excellent science, they are all based on excellence of the project proposal. Scientific excellence is a criteria per se of all the projects that are being funded. But in this particular section, the curiosity-driven research, frontier research, is what really matters. It supports top researchers from anywhere in the world to work in Europe, and traditionally these are what we call, some of these grantees in the recent years have actually received Nobel Prizes. So this is really the excellence of excellence that has been funded by the European Research Council. It's an auxiliary body that we have that is managing this part of the program. A very important part of this priority are also the future and emerging technologies that support visionary thinking through collaboration between science and engineering. And here we fund piloting science that has the potential to become tomorrow's technology. Then we have, I think it's the most known maybe in the region, instrument, the so-called Maria Skłodowska-Curie actions that fund mobility of researchers and provide opportunities for training, career development of individual researchers and teams at all stages of their career. We also fund, in specific cases, research infrastructure, including big infrastructures, as most of the top quality scientific infrastructures are either very expensive or located in certain areas in Europe. We, through this action, also ensure access to their facilities. And the second pillar appeared in this program mainly because we would like to see also a bigger participation on behalf of the industry and even more close partnership between academia and industry. It is called Leadership in Enabling and Industrial Technologies, and here we put the emphasis on key technologies as advanced manufacturing, microelectronics, biotechnology, which is very important for you, nanotechnology, ICT. We say that they underpin innovation in all sectors of the economy. That's why it's very important to have a specific access to funding. The societal challenges are, as we mentioned earlier, where I guess most of the people here are working on issues related to environment, biodiversity, and plant conservation. So here you have to be creative because we stimulate the multidisciplinary approach. As it was mentioned already several times, when we speak about the preservation of natural resources, we don't only speak about the resources themselves and biodiversity, but all the different aspects related to the way they touch upon important economic sectors as count. It was mentioned cosmetics here, of course, tourism was not mentioned, but I find it's a very interesting area to exploit, and the Royal Botanic Garden is very well situated to do that because of different networking activities. So yeah, think about innovation and tourism, and we have different actions that would stimulate such similar projects. In the societal challenges, we also stimulate the multi-actor approach, encourage actually, which means again consortia that consist of different stakeholders, public institutions, private institutions, universities, and industry at the same time, but also civil society organizations. And in the sphere of the environment, actually, we have quite a number of active organizations that would bring additional added value to one project like that. I have highlighted here three challenges that I think are important, but don't hesitate to look in the other sections of the program. First challenge is where we normally have sustainable agriculture and forestry, marine resources, and bioeconomy. We have dedicated around 4 million euros for this period that should be invested in research in these areas. The other important one is on climate action, environment, resource efficiency, and raw materials, where the budget for the 7 years is about 7 billion euros. And inclusive, innovative, and reflective societies, where we normally have the so-called social sciences and international cooperation sections together. So here normally we call it Challenge 6, Here you will have targeted actions to certain regions in the world. For example, we have now targeted action on the Middle East, where a requirement for participation is the participation of countries from this region. That's where Jordan has, of course, a comparative advantage because it belongs to this region. But it's valid also for regions like your neighborhood or southern Mediterranean. There are different formulations. Because otherwise, actually, I don't need to say that, most of the program is very competitive, so it is open for participation from all around the world. So you can imagine that top scientific teams elaborate very high quality proposal, and sometimes it's really difficult to decide which of the 5 aspects of proposal should be funded. So you have to be very hardworking on when you're elaborating the proposal, and of course think always about the most important elements of the program. This link between research and innovation, innovative solutions. But in these goals that are targeting specific regions, normally you have more chances to receive funding. The environmental research has been traditionally a top priority in our programs, of course, not only because of the reasons that were mentioned by the previous speakers, that it's very important for the EU civil society in general. We have spent in FP7 about 2 billion on funding on environmental research, where we traditionally have issues like biodiversity, climate change, environmental technologies, including cultural heritage, very, I think, important for Jordan. And here, of course, the challenges were excellently presented by Dr. Tulu, the expanding population worldwide, but also in Europe, the climate change, various anthropogenic pressures that have very detrimental impact on the environment and biodiversities are the challenges that need to be addressed. We have decided to address them through this twofold objective by fostering the sustainable management of the environment and its resources, to increasing knowledge about interaction between climate, biosphere, ecosystems and human activities, and by putting a special emphasis on development of so-called green, but in the case of marine sciences, blue technologies, environmental technologies, tools and services that address global environmental issues. In 2011, an interesting concept was created, the concept of eco-innovation. It was elaborated by 2 of our DGs in the European Commission, Environment and Research. This eco-innovation aims exactly to target technologies that could be cost-effective and that could actually improve sustainable management of the environment and encourage this type of innovation. There is, if somebody is interested, maybe I can give a link after the presentation. There is an eco-innovation action plan, very interesting, that we have to have a look at. And these are the traditional research priorities we have had through FP7. They haven't changed a lot for this program. This you can find on the EU Research Environmental website as information. Biodiversity in FP7 was subject to 3 main priorities: the assessment and forecasting changes in biodiversity and understanding the dynamics of ecosystem. Okay, it's true that we had a strong focus on marine ecosystems, and also in our cooperation with the Mediterranean countries, and Jordan, our policy framework is part of the Mediterranean ecosystems. We have a very big emphasis on marine research and marine science and marine biodiversity, but it doesn't mean, of course, that we are not ready to embark even more actively on everything that is bound to biodiversity and natural resources. And sometimes we also operate in terms of demand. If we see a very big interest on behalf of a country or region for a research in a specific area, of course, we could think of ways to adapt that in our future programs. The idea is to be relevant to this partnership. Here, of course, the research, based on the research that we do related to risk assessments is crucial for the conservation and mitigation and rehabilitation of ecosystems in Europe. There have been several projects. I have to add what there are here. I have listed some of them, but of course they are mainly focusing on some of these issues. The linkage between environment, society, and economy, of course, will continue to be very important. Here, I would, again, I think for third time, quote Dr. Dougal, who mentioned the importance of public awareness of these issues and education and capacity building in terms of sensibilization of the general public. We have, now currently we don't have such an ongoing call, but traditionally we have this maybe in one of the future work programs we will have that. The main challenges in the Mediterranean priorities, as I said, so far we have been working more on marine natural resources and their conservation. Here, of course, one of the biggest challenges is the lack of sufficient data and systematic data on national basis, but also regionally. Maybe we can think, or you could think about the possibility of creating an observatories in the very specific sections of this topic, because it's very difficult to work, to make an assessment when we don't have the basis of reliable data. Of course, we also don't have still very systematic identification of the main impact of the different anthropogenic pressure, climate change, and of course their effects on biodiversity, but water as well in the region, as mentioned. The priorities for action. They're up to different stakeholders to decide. There have been some attempts to do so, but this attempt has been made within a project called NERA. It was a regional research and innovation project, Euro-Mediterranean, where they have identified several priorities for action, but of course more could be added, or different ranking of the priorities could be done as well. This is the indicators development, the development of shared scientific infrastructures where needed, and there is funding, of course, the creation of various networks, draft priority areas, definition of draft priority areas also in the sphere of innovation. Here, a little bit of logistical support technicalities for those of you who haven't had experience with our program so far. We tend to say that it is much more user-friendly and simplified compared to the previous one. It's up to you to judge. So, as was mentioned before, all projects can include international partners. But there are also specific targeted codes where your participation will be obligatory, which means that the European partners themselves will try to find you, look for you, and encourage you to participate together with them in a consortium. In certain situations, we are ready to make also coordinated calls with different countries. Normally, these are the EU strategic partners. where the country and the EU, they put together resources on a specific priority issue that they have identified in the hemisphere research. Here you can see two examples related to the partnership with Japan and Brazil that we have. And of course, the benefits of international research, they were mentioned also by previous speakers. These benefits go both ways. They really share for the EU partners, the EU researchers and innovators, and for their international partners. Access to knowledge, both ways, open up markets, it goes both ways, sharing expertise and experience, improving research quality, very important also for this beautiful but turbulent region Jordan is situated in, is science diplomacy. We try also to bring representatives of countries and their universities or their business people together. And actually science has proved to be an area that can open communication where nothing else could. Because scientists don't know borders, they can discuss freely outside of the political context. And of course, higher global profile. It's researchers and innovators, we often say they live in the future. These are the people that set our context for tomorrow. The rules of participation. There is a regulation for the rules of participation. You can see every single detail if you're interested, but mainly you can see that applicants from non-EU countries are eligible to take part as coordinator. This is done in exceptional cases. In fact, the Terra project is part of these exceptional cases where we think that it would be useful for a Jordanian entity. There are also other countries participating in this specific goal, of course, and that the Jordanian entity can embark on this very complicated, especially from an administrative point of view, and reporting to the European Commission exercise. And I can say that the Royal Botanic Garden did the job brilliantly. So, maybe we shouldn't be afraid in the future to give the coordinatorship of a project to our partners, in this case in Jordan. There are certain minimum conditions that the partners should meet. Normally, we need to have 3 participants from a member state or associated country. Associated countries traditionally to our program have been Turkey, the Balkan countries, Israel, Moldova, Norway. Now the relations with Switzerland are a little bit more put on hold, but maybe in the future we will have again Switzerland as an associated country. So, for actions aimed at individuals like European Research Council or Marie Curie actions, you need 1 researcher. But the researcher should also represent a university or organization, a host institution no matter where in Europe, and a project which we will be ready to finance if we actually our independent evaluators consider it relevant. The projects are evaluated not by the European Commission itself. We have a special evaluation process. What I'm saying is not to the slide, sorry. We have a special evaluation process where we have independent experts in a specific field of the code and evaluate the proposal. But what are the options for taking part? Don't get discouraged if you're not part of a consortium and you would really like to participate. You can participate also as a third party. There are certain specific conditions related to this participation. You don't receive direct funding, but you can have a contract with one of the participants. So there are ways, if there is a we move, of course, on behalf of the consortium and the respective partners. So how does it work in practice? I will give you the several important links, but even if you just Google Horizon 2020 calls, you will see the ongoing calls. You have to find a relevant call in the program. I would encourage you to search in the Societal Challenge part. Actually, did I miss? Yes, I missed the slide with the most important slide with the ongoing calls. Actually, one of them has already expired. The deadline is today, actually, so I don't know if you will have time in the afternoon to submit a proposal. Maybe not, but there will be a second phase. We have taken 4 of them. We don't have, in the moment, ongoing call that directly aims at plant conservation, nor such a call that would be interesting from the point of view of Jordan as Mediterranean countries, but we have these interesting topics which touch upon, of course, on your work and interest. This is the consolidating of the European Research Area on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, more effective ecosystem restoration in the EU, biodiversity and ecosystem services, driver of change and causalities, and making Earth observation and monitoring data useful for ecosystem modeling and services. Don't hesitate also to check the biotechnology call. It's a very interesting call, biotech. It was mentioned several times in the previous presentation, how big the potential for using some of the known and unknown species. In fact, about 10% of the world's species are known to science, according to our statistics, so there is a lot of space for research in this area. Find the relevant call, find partners. There is on the so-called participant portal, which is our website, where we encourage you as potential partners to consult. There you have a mechanism of finding for partners, but of course the best is if you have already some established contacts with relevant European institutions in the respective area. If or not, I'm sure most of you who are attend regularly scientific symposia and so on, you know which are the strong institutions in a certain area. You can always ask them to become partner or check with them if they are proposing a proposal, so you can join if the topics are of interest to you. Then you submit a proposal, you wait for the end of this complicated evaluation procedure we have, and hopefully it will be successful, and then the real work starts on implementing the project. And here are the important links. I guess the presentations will stay on the website of the project, so you can get them afterwards or whatnot. And the Horizon 2020 participant portal, the site of the European Commission on Horizon 2020, and very important, if you're looking for information and you cannot find it on these sites, of course you can always contact your national contact point. Horizon 2020 National Contact Point in Jordan is the Higher Council for Science and Technology. They're here, very nice and responsive colleagues, so I'm sure they will get back to you with all the important, relevant information. Of course, you can always send us an email with a concrete question or issue you have. Thank you.